Hi, I'm Judy. I'm a seasoned operator with over a decade of experience in consumer tech. I actually worked with Mark at diapers.com when he founded the company. With my experiences, I am now the founder of a company called MoneyGirls, which is out to empower a rising generation of women to run their own money. I'm really excited for the opportunity to hone my pitch with Mark, practice, and get his feedback to be better.
Hello, Judy.
Hi, Mark. I'm so excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, me too.
I like to joke that I blame you for this entrepreneurial fire that I've got when there's just a billion other things that I could do that's way easier. So I think it's only right that we're chatting today.
I think it would be great to just kind of hear the pitch more specifically. If you were meeting an investor for the first time, how would you pitch it?
I'm really excited to address the massive opportunity that's ignored by today's gender skewed fintech. So the problem that I've noticed and I'm out to solve is there's no compelling way for the 12 million college educated Gen Z women to set up their financial lives for success, even though they're going to be high earners and power users of financial products. And because of this lack of compelling value prop to distinct segments, fintech companies also have astronomical CAC to acquire users. And so MoneyGirls is focusing on an ownable and high potential demographic to transform the way they engage with their money. And tackling this opportunity means that we're primed to influence over $1 trillion in earning power. Instead of giving them a point solution or just overwhelming them with pure, content, we built sort of the first platform that offers kind of this 3-in-1 set of knowledge, so you know what and why, network, so you see role models doing it, and tools that's habit forming and fun as you start to manage your financial progress. Our product one was what I call conversational content. So in building for Gen Z, content is critical. It's the foundation of trust and driving future revenue. And so we had a once a week newsletter called the Monday Money Drop, where we get you savvy on a topic that matters. And the reason why we're confident that it matters to you is because everything we talk about is in direct response to questions that we receive. So since our launch, we've had over 1,000 questions about money from this demographic. And from day one, it's allowed us to have a direct line of sight into what their financial priorities are. That was product one. The product two that we're really focused on is building this community. So what we do for the members is we bring you into the fold of a high potential kind of audience of women in similar life stages. And what these women do is they tell each other about MoneyGirls. They host events on campus, now on Zoom, but they invite us to women's org and sorority events so that they really felt engaged in the conversations around money, as well as co-creating with MoneyGirls kind of where we're going in the future. And that engagement is where kind of how we've gotten to where we are today, which is an app called Moves by MoneyGirls. So it just came into the world a couple of weeks ago, and it's in a sort of invite-only beta. So that's what we mean by kind of the 3-in-1 approach, which has quite honestly been community-led, of the knowledge first, and then the network, and now the app that both deepens the network and sort of delivers on this idea of productive scrolling.
What about an example of, let's say, your perfectly suited target customer? What's their first engagement with when they come to the app? I go to the Apple Store or Play Store, Google Play Store. I download the app. It's called Moves by MoneyGirl. I open the app up. See what I'm just trying to get the very precise journey that somebody goes through. I think it would be really helpful for me to understand, the customer experience by just going through literally step by step. Download the app, opens it up. What's on the home screen of the app?
Home screen in the app is you start in Instagram, you start seeing other polls, questions that other women have submitted.
So I come to the app, I open it up, and on the home page, it'll say there'll be visibly to me, maybe 10 or 20 questions.
It's not just qualitative questions, it's polls as well, but it's similar in the sense that you'll just start to see a feed where it says, can you share a tip of how you got started investing? Or I've got a new job. What's the first thing that I should do with my 401k? Or what's the number one thing that you consider when it comes to this idea of diversifying, investment? So it's questions that other women have submitted, and you get
a bunch of answers then?
Yeah. So either it's answers through polls, right? So you say, 13, right? And then you see the 20% of people are like you and said 13. 10% said, you can filter by age, sort of, to be really honed in on your life stage. So there's a combination of the polls that you take as well as the qualitative questions where you just see the answers in a more porous.
Is there any way to search or sort topics so the questions are relating to that?
Exactly. So right up top, you can search for investing, spend and save, tax, credit and borrowing. So you can 100% hone in on what's top of your mind. But this idea there is, women say sometimes they have a really specific question about a topic. And sometimes they're just like, I don't even know what I don't know. So what are other people talking about? What we learned is you can't just rest on content destination, because these women are like, cool, until I'm just bored. But it's also not about this very specific day one out of the gate. We give you a financial plan, or day one out of the gate, we give you an investment platform. It's this idea of like, you've got to warm me up.
So you could have a vision that says, we want to be where Motley Fool meets Acorn for women. Like that's the big vision. We want to have the investing platform, we want to have the content, and we want to be focused on women specifically because no one else is. And we think this is a massive, massive market. Our strategy for getting there is different. The strategy to get to the vision is we're not going to just jump right into it and day one put it out there. What we're going to do is focus on a younger demo when they're just starting in their career. We're going to start with very basic education, and we're going to sort of build them up over time into so they can appreciate a Motley Fool, and then once they do that, bring them into the investment. And so we have it's the sequencing of the moves that you're making on how to get to your vision is your strategy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is what you've actually built versus what you want to build. So if you're talking to me as an investor, I also am trying to think as you're talking, wait, what have you done to date already and built versus what you want to build? And sometimes you're talking about things you want and sometimes things you have. So I would separate the two, and that's like the tactics. So I would start with, the big, bold vision statement. This is what we want to become, to the extent that you could, connect it, so the investor connects when you say, where Motley Fool meets Acorn for women is the big vision. Now I get it very quickly what you're talking about here, and it's focused on women, and that's the big vision. A strategy for getting there is not to jump into it. It's we're gonna sequence the moves like this. Now, you start talking tactics. Let me tell you, where we are today. And today we've done the first part of that. We have an app. There's Q&A, there's search. Let me walk you through a customer journey. That's kind of where we are today. So they can work backwards from the vision, the strategy to get there, and then the tactics where you are today. I think it would be helpful to talk to an investor in that way. And I would also, in the beginning, probably even start with the mission, because that's the higher order. It's like you're trying to do something bigger than just make money here and shareholder value. There's a bigger purpose. And I think it's important to start with that. If you're talking to an investor, especially in the early stages, they're wanting to see how this could be a 10 or 20x return, how they're coming in at a few $1 million kind of valuation, 10 million valuation, how this could be a multi-$100 million or $1 billion business. Putting out there as a little bit of a teaser is like when you say we want to create, where Motley Fool meets Acorn for women, to size that up a little bit. Acorn is a what market cap? Motley Fool is a what market cap? How big is the market for women? If you were to strip that out of all the players and bring it into one place, and just to sort of frame it up, to have them understand that you're thinking big. You're not thinking of this is you'd be happy with a creating a $50 million business. It's like nobody's going to be interested in that if they're raising money at a $5 million, $10 million valuation with dilution. It's not that exciting. You have to prove that this is multi-hundred million or billions. Billions better than hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
But hundreds of millions can work too, but I think billions. But if you said, listen, Acorn is a X billion dollar market cap, Motley Fool is an X billion dollar market cap, bring this together, you know, each of them are fighting. There's like lots of competitors are all going after the male demo. If you add the entire market cap of the male demo there, it's this. Add it for women, it's that. We want to go after and get a big share of the women demo in this field. So the investors should think, oh yeah, if you pull this off, like it should be a multi-billion-dollar business. That's kind of what you want to kind of like dangle and tease the investors about. You know what I mean? You want them to kind of get excited, knowing that if you execute the way you think you can, there's potentially a big outcome.
And to be really hyper clear about it, like to spell it out. Okay. Spell out. I'd have a list of a few exits, a few companies in existence that are considered competitors, what the market cap is, and then maybe the market cap associated with women from those businesses. You know, so you can get an idea of like Acorn, you know, about $1 billion of the market cap is related to women, because women's, you know, 30% and it's 3-something billion, you know, this business, this, you know, and then you kind of say, listen, if we were to get, you know, we think we can get these women in these places, a good percentage of them, because now we're focused on just women. You can start to see how, this could be a multi-billion-dollar business. If you're able to extract a lot of these women out of the existing businesses and bring them into the MoneyGirl platform. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here with you. Yeah.
But you need to think about that and bring that into the equation, into the picture. This is why I think it's important in the early stages to be really tight around where you are and what you've done. So I would say, you know, we raised $250,000 and the goal was to build phase 1 of this app and to prove that we can get customers on here and keep them engaged. Check. We built it. And I said, keep them engaged. Then you can give some stats about engagement. This many people, this many times, this many questions, this many average questions per person. Check. So you want to bring them along on this journey. Why you raise the money, how much you raise, what you hope to do with it. And then, yes, I did what I said I was going to do with the money. Yes, the engagement's there. Okay, now I'm looking to raise 1.5 million so that I can build out phase 2. Phase 2 includes X, Y, and Z. Success looks like this. And know that those success metrics are very achievable, so you feel confident, because you're going to use that as a platform to then do the same thing when you do the Series B round. And you're going to say, okay, did the seed, blah, blah, blah. Did the A, this is what I did, phase 2. And here are the success metrics. We've got paid members now. People move. Okay, now I want to raise 10 million to do phase 3. Boom, 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 here are the metrics. Like, you need to frame it up in a way that's really tight. Really, it's got to be really tight, you know, so that you're bringing the investor along and they know exactly what this 1.5 million is for and how it fits in the big picture of the puzzle of raising and executing. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
The more you can give rounds also sort of like names. I always like to do that, like names of like the phase, like what is that phase that you did? You know, you raised 250 grand. It was a seed round, but with the X phase, it was like this, and then you just kind of like explain how you did exactly what you said you do. That's that. The raise now is about this. It's usually when it's the name, it's usually like what you're trying to prove. You know, like what is the round more than just what you're building. But like in the step toward this big vision, what part does this play? And then the B round, when you're raising 10 million, that's, you know, put fuel on the fire round. You know, that's when everything's proven, the metrics, unit economics are good. We know what our CAC is. We know we can, you know, bring in customers, and we just want to put fuel on the fire. That's the B round. You see what I mean? You kind of like want to name the rounds and frame them so that the investor knows where they sit, where they're going, where they've come from, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Okay.
What are those of good stuff? Like, seriously, I really appreciate this. No one
I'm glad, Judy.
would ever spend the time to give it to you, all the details and the sausage making that, you know, goes on in the back of the brain. So thank you so much, Mark. Seriously.
You're welcome. Thanks, Judy. Good luck.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Thank you.